This is Tuesday, March 19th. There are 127 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2024 and only 10 days until WonderCon 2024. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTWE go. Oh my God, I love Live Journal and my Live Journal loves me. Current movies, hyperactive, current news, rep 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple.
Good evening, everybody. I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast tonight, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us.
And also joining us tonight, Aaron Tapkin.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so welcome to SDConCast. This is our special edition pre-WonderCon episode where we're going to go over the schedule, cover some of the news if we have any, which we have some news. We'll take questions and comments. You can tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast on Twitter. We'll be keeping an eye there. We'll also keep an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. So I guess, what are we going to do? We're talking about the schedule. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about before we dive right into it?
I don't think so. I think we can start with the schedule. I will say the exhibitor list is out now, so if you haven't looked at that, you definitely should. We also have a list of artists with open commissions, all of which you can find on our website. You guys know the drill. And then Sean over at Parks and Cons and Carmel should be posting their guide to WonderCon any day now. So we'll have that up on the site as well here in a couple days.
Cool. All right. So we're only going to cover a few rooms because they're not using a few of the bigger rooms like normal. So we're only going to be covering the two north rooms and room 207, I think it is. And then we're just going to, we're going to do our usual dark horse, but instead of just like limiting it to one, we're basically just going to talk about any other panels we saw in any of the other rooms that caught our interest that we would like to highlight. Let's get started. We're going to start on Friday, North 200A, which, depending on how they set it up, can seat, from what I recall, anywhere from 3 to 1,500 people.
That is quite the difference there. Yes.
I think they tend to use the somewhere between 500 and 1,000 for the North 200 rooms.
I think so too. I think so too. And as you alluded to, they are not using the biggest room this year, which is the arena. Instead, these North 200s are the biggest rooms at WonderCon this year.
Right.
But things kick off on Friday, not until 3 p.m. for the first panel of the day in here, which is going to be the 24th Annual Animation Show of Shows. If you've never been to this, it's Ron Diamond who just brings a whole bunch of different animation shorts that they show. If you've got the kids or you need something cool to do, it's always a good time. Then at 4:30 is Robotech Past Prologue, which will be them giving you an update on everything into the world of Robotech, from Sony's acquisition of Crunchyroll, the new Robotech Rick Hunter comic series, and more. They don't list panelists, but we do know that Brendan Easton, who's one of the writers on Robotech Past Prologue, will be there, and he's also doing a signing the next day. At 5:30 p.m. is 25 Years of Iron Giant, a fan appreciation, which is basically a look back from fans at the beloved classic film Iron Giant. Then at 6:30 p.m. is the Spectacular World of Spiderwick Chronicles, which is the upcoming Roku original series. And that one will have several of the cast members. And we know that because they're bolded on the schedule, and bolded is supposed to mean they're planning to be there, which should include Christian Slater, Joy Bryant, Noah Cottrell, Lyon Daniels, Michaela Lee, Jack Dylan Grazer, and Olivia Allen Lind, as well as the authors. So you'll get a look at that. And then at 8 p.m. is Star Trek Strange New Worlds Subspace Rhapsody Sing-Along. Both WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con do different sing-along panels, and this is obviously for the Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode, so should be a good time. And then that will actually be followed by a Q&A with the songwriters, who just happen to be two of the folks from Letters to Cleo. So that's pretty cool.
That is
That
cool.
is incredibly cool.
Yeah, so a lot of different things in that room that day. I don't think any of this will actually fill up. I mean, I think if anything gets even kind of close, it would probably be the last two. But I don't know. What do you think, James? Do you think any of this is going to actually fill the room?
No, but I am going to go find my 10 Things That I Hate About You DVD, and I am going to try and get it signed.
Do it. Do it. Yeah, that is very cool. Yeah, so again, there's a good mix of this. I think there'll be a lot of folks who just come for their one panel and then leave, so should be a lot of turnover. Yeah, and that's
I mean, the Star
200A.
Trek thing should get a pretty good crowd, but being at
Yeah,
8
I
o'clock
think
at
so, too.
night, I mean, we don't know if people are just going to head over to the hotels, they're going to go out to dinner downtown Disney, or just head home. So being at 8 o'clock, it's kind of iffy as to what's going to happen, but it should be still fairly well attended because there's no show floor to draw attention or anything.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Star Trek. Everybody loves Star Trek. So.
Yeah. And then, so that's the North 200A room. And then we have North 200B. And Aaron is like, nothing.
Nothing.
There's nothing.
This will be an empty room, at least on Friday.
It won't be used
on Friday.
On Friday. But that room's about the same size. So are those rooms able to be put together? Like, do they ever do that?
Surely,
yeah, the
surely
whole floor can be opened up to be like one giant, like 50,000 square foot room. I think is how big it is. I was looking at the layout today. So it can be opened up, and that's why we don't know exactly what the settings can be, because not only is it how they set up the room, but it depends on how many chairs they put in there. Because if you recall last year at WonderCon, when you walked into one of the 200 rooms, the chairs didn't start until like a quarter of the way or up into the room. So there was a bunch of open space where no one would even be able to sit. So it all depends on how many chairs they put down, but it can hold up to 1,500 in the configuration they have. Maybe 1,000 max for one of the rooms if it's a little smaller, but not much different. So the next room we're going to do is room 207. This room, we're also unsure exactly how much it holds because it's a combo, another room where they combo it. It should hold anywhere from 500 to 750 roughly. And again, depends on how many chairs they put in there, what configuration they're using. But we have, starting at 2 p.m., Animation Superstars, Movers and Shakers. And just like it sounds like, it's going to be a bunch of people from animation talking about the business landscape, technologies, all that kind of stuff. People from SpongeBob SquarePants and Bob's Burgers and Steven Universe and Wonder Over Yonder. Just a bunch of people talking about cartoons, which is always awesome. At 3 p.m., we have Spotlight on Ashley Eckstein. I should be the one who knows how to pronounce that, right? You know her from Comic-Con.
Out of any of us, you should know it.
Eckstein.
Right? Like, this is why I gave you this room, James. Come on.
Yeah. So she's you from Comic-Con, you know her because of her Universe fashion show, but she's also known for being Ahsoka Tano in all of the animated shows for Star Wars and her Universe clothing line and all kinds of stuff. So this is basically just her chance to actually be one of the special guests and be spotlighted. And so it's just me her talking about her. And then at 4 o'clock, we have Sky making of an art book preview by That Game Company. And it's the company discussing their unique development process for their award-winning video game, Sky, Children of Light, which has had over 260 million downloads since 2019. It's going to be the moderator, Robert Wing, along with Cecil Kim, Yui Tanabe, Ash Code, and Jenny Kong about their approach to art, world design, and emotional storytelling. and how the community helps to shape the game. The next at 5 o'clock, we have Making a Living Being Creative. And this is featuring production manager Stephen Edwards from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, illustrator Lee Coase from Star Wars Kindergoth, and other guest panelists to discuss how they broke into the entertainment industry. So that should be pretty fun. Yes.
And it is moderated by our #1 SDCon fan, Johnny Kolisinski. I'm sure I mispronounced that. And if you're watching Johnny, I'm sorry, but we know Johnny.
Really? Nice. Well, there you go.
The SDCon fan, huh? The biggest?
The biggest?
He is. Well, do you guys remember he and his friends like helped us out last year, or not last year, 2 years ago at Gary Olympics? Like
Oh, okay.
They were our volunteers.
All right.
That was Johnny and his friends.
That's awesome.
All right. That is cool. And then at 6 o'clock, Ahsoka Tano, Superman, and me. And you may think that Ashley will be on this panel because it has Ahsoka Tano in the name. But no, it is Wayne Lowe, the designer from Clone Wars. He's an ILM VFX art director. And Jean Yang, the creator and executive producer of American-born Chinese TV series and author, will divulge their source and inspiration stories for their behind iconic characters and properties. So they'll talk about that and how things came to be. Also, there will be Thien Pham, graphic novelist, and Brianna Lowenson. And then at 7 p.m., we have the musical world of Avatar, The Last Airbender. And this one's pretty cool because it is the two people behind the music for both the animated series and the new live action series. For the animated, it's Jeremy Zuckerman, and for the live action, it's Takashi Furukawa. And they're talking about scoring both of those shows, and the panel will be moderated by Chandler Poling. And then at 8 p.m., Godzilla Minus Lawyers. This one's pretty cool. It's going to be a bunch of lawyers and judges talking about Godzilla Minus One, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and more, celebrating the 70th anniversary of Godzilla. It's like things like, is there kaiju coverage on your insurance? What happens if you find an orphaned baby in an area where a Godzilla has trampled through, and all kinds of fun things. And then we have what I think is becoming an annual thing, and it is puppet-filled Dungeons and Dragons one-shot at 9 p.m. Do you love Dungeons and Dragons? Check. Do you love puppets? Check. Do you love unscripted chaos? Check. All of that on this panel. Host and GM Ryan Kesey and Danny Montooth, Art Vega and Andrew Lockerbie, and content creator Connie Torres will all do a live one-shot of D&D on the WonderCon stage. So that should be pretty fun. I don't know if there is anything.
I think Ashley's spotlight.
Yeah, she'll be very popular because it is a panel of just her. So, but also it's Friday, and it just depends on how crowded Friday is, because she does have the Her Universe panel, which basically turns into kind of an Ashley panel with the Her Universe fashion show people. But being an Ashley only panel, yes, I expect that there will be a decent amount of people here.
Yeah, I think that's the only panel really to worry about. And again, just because this is WonderCon, not San Diego Comic-Con. If you're worried, just show up, like at the start of the panel before, and you'll be totally fine.
Right. Exactly.
I really like that the two big things that they have scheduled at night seem like entertainment, not just like a panel where I'm going to go and, maybe learn something or hear some people talk, but they seem very entertaining. And I think that's pretty smart of them because, WonderCon doesn't have all of the off-site, doesn't really have any of the off-site other events that you're going to get at San Diego Comic-Con. So scheduling those two things that are almost like you're getting like a show.
You don't need offsites when you have the biggest offsite in the world right across the street.
Yeah, that's very true.
But to
Very
your
true.
point, like, yes, I absolutely think that they have programmed a lot of these more entertaining panels at night, like for a reason. They do that on Saturday as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that's it kind of for main two bigger rooms on Friday, since again, they aren't using 200B. So shall we go into a couple of our dark horse picks?
Sure. Carrie, I think you can go first.
So I have on my list FX Breakdown, the Artists Who Build Universes, which is at 5 p.m. in 300A. This has a whole bunch of the FX folks behind some of the biggest movies like Independence Day, iRobot, Galaxy Quest, Titanic, and then my favorite movie of all time, Inception. And in fact, if I was going to WonderCon this year, I would be dragging my poor girlfriend to this panel. But I always think that the behind the scenes stuff is pretty cool. And then I also just wanted to mention also at 5 p.m. in 213 CD is Jack Specific and Disguise Costumes upcoming releases. They do a panel every year at both San Diego Comic-Con and WonderCon, but they always also have some fun giveaways. And their panel this year does also mention that they will have special giveaways. So if you are somebody who likes some swag, stop by and you might just have a chance to get something.
I picked. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying very cool. And yes, it is your turn.
Yes. I picked a couple of comic realm things. Their first one on Friday is at 3 p.m. in room 209. I picked The Right Stuff: How to Inspire Yourself, and they kind of stacked it with a whole bunch of the comic related special guests, including Steve Englehart, Steve Orlando, Gail Simone, David Mack, Marv Wolfman. And they're just going to be talking about keeping themselves motivated, keeping themselves inspired. And moderator Cecil Castellucci is going to be on that, and she's a great fun person too. After that at 4:30 to 5:30, and in room 213, it's going to be I don't know how to describe this one. It's basically it's a panel that's about the website The Beat, which is comicsbeat.com, and they've been around for 20 years. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary, and this is going to be all about their website. And it's mostly ran by editor-in-chief Heidi McDonald. Heidi's sort of like the Comics Beat version of Carrie, I guess. Hearts for Heidi. Yeah,
like Heidi is way more.
No, but she's like
way bigger than we are.
But she's like they're like what you are to us, she is to them. But she's going to be joined by a whole bunch of other people that have helped work on the site and have contributed to the site over the past 20 years. But they were sort of the first. There's a lot of sites you can go to for comic news nowadays, but they were one of the first, one of the best, and this panel is going to talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. And we here are very big fans of, independent journalism and covering the kind of pop culture stuff for very obvious reasons. So we love The Beat. And
independent journalism in the comics realm that has been spearheaded and ran by a woman is even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
James, what'd you pick out this year for Friday?
I actually picked that writers panel that you picked.
Did you?
As one of mine. I would be remiss if I did not mention that Open the Game area in Hall C at the back, at the back of the hall, where you can go and learn how to play a bunch of different games. They're actually running Lorcana Learn to Plays, where you can for $30 you get a deck and some sleeves, and they teach you how to play, and you get extra prizes for every game that you win. So
are you I mean, you know how to play, but are you helping? Is this like something that you can like get involved in, since you know how to play and you're very well versed in it? Could you like go in and help teach other people how to play?
I suppose I could. I think what they do is they hire a company to run that area and teach a bunch of games. So it looks like the company is called Cardboardia. And I think they're on multiple ones, like for Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and all those. They run all of those games. So for the $30, it gets you a deck and some sleeves, which if they're the actual like constructed decks that Lorcana has put out and the sleeves, I think that the normal retail price is like $27. So it's basically after tax, it's the same price. And then you get to learn how to play and earn prizes. So I would suggest going and checking it out if you're interested and have an extra half hour to an hour, because it only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to learn and play a game. It's not a hard game to learn. And it's running all day at the back of Hall C, and then they're running it at night as well over in the Hilton. So you have two chances. You don't have to play it during the convention. You can play it after.
So what I'm hearing is that if you want to find James at WonderCon, you now know where to go.
I will be bringing at least 2 decks with me to play in case anyone wants to sit down and play some games. And you won't have to pay, because my decks, you can just borrow a deck from me. So, but I would suggest if you want to take some cards home, then yeah, go ahead and learn how to play here. They also do, like I said, they did all the other ones. Like if you want to play Magic, they give you a free play mat that's like, I guess, exclusive to the event. And then for Pokemon, they give you some stuff from Pokemon as well. So all these different things, they'll give you stuff to take home with you after they teach you how to play. And that's all weekend.
That's nice.
All 3 days.
That's awesome.
The other things I wanted to mention are, let's see if I can figure out what the room is on these things. 213 AB from 2:30 to 3:30. Magma Comics launches new creator-owned titles. It features creators like Steve Orlando, Derek Robertson, Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and Eamon Winkle. It used to be a part of Heavy Metal magazine, and then they launched onto their own brand. So if you're interested in independent published comics and creator-owned stuff for mature audiences, then I think this is probably the one for you. And then I also wanted to mention, now during Comic-Con and WonderCon, they do a thing called the Comics Arts Conference, which is usually a lot of really intense, like deep in the woods comic creation and other things about the business. So usually it's something that only people that are really serious about like learning about comics and learning about the business of comics and things like that. But in this case, I think it's also, this one is in particular is kind of like a spotlight, because it's Comics Arts Conference session number 2, focus on Tony Isabella, who is the creator of things like Black Lightning, It, the Living Colossus, things like that. And he's going to basically be talking with Mark Evanier for an hour about his career. And I think it's basically a spotlight. So I think it's something that's pretty cool. And then other than that, I think that you guys, either we covered them or you picked the ones that I was wanting to talk about. I think, nope, one more. The Power of Comics and Education, room 300C at 4:30, features the author of American-Born Chinese, Jean Luen Yang, the author of Family Style, Thien Pham, and educators Edwin Lim and author Brianna Lewinson. And it's all talking about comics in education. And I think that's it. Oh, another one that I would be remiss not to mention is the Buffy and Firefly behind the scenes, also in 300C at 6:30. And it doesn't say who's going to be there, but it says writers to props people and behind the scenes, talking about behind the scenes moments from Buffy and Firefly. So that might be pretty cool too.
Ooh, that could be a lot of fun.
Yep, I think so. And I think that's about it. So there you go. Cool little highlights all throughout the day. Let's move on to Saturday. And I'm going to kick it off in North 200A. And it starts at 11 a.m. with The Dragon Prince, Blood and Stardust. The cast and crew of the series discuss the upcoming first episode of season 6. They show some never-before-seen footage, and they say that the themes are maturing, so children should not attend without a parent, guardian, or cool older friend. And in attendance will be Raquel Belmonte, Aaron Ahaz, Justin Richmond, Devin Gill, and Vlad Spangsberg. After that, we have the McFarlane Toys Multiverse, where Todd McFarlane himself will be on hand to discuss all of the stuff coming from the McFarlane Toys line, like Movie Maniacs, DC Multiverse, Demon Slayer, Spawn, of course. Probably be some special guests and maybe some surprises and giveaways. And that's at noon. Then we have at 1 the greatest cartoons ever with animation historian Jerry Beck introducing stuff from the Golden Age, including George Powell Puppetoon, Tex Avery's Senior Droopy, Fleischer's Popeye Classic, A Dream Walking, Tom and Jerry, and more. And who doesn't love sitting down for an hour of cartoons? At 2 p.m., we have Adult Swim's Smiling Friends with co-creators and stars Michael Cusack and Zach Hadel. Look at the new season. And then at 3 p.m., just until 3:30, because it is a screening only, is the Ghosts exclusive season 3 episode screening of an unaired episode. I'm guessing it'll be this whatever one is going to be showing up like the coming week. It is just a screening only. And then at 3:30, we have Star Trek Discovery final season premiere screening. And it is just like it sounds like, it's a screening of the final, the premiere episode of the final season for Discovery, followed by a moderated Q&A with Michelle Paradise and Olatunde Osunsanmi, who are the executive producers and showrunners and directors. We'll talk about working on the final season and give a little bit of a tease about what's to come. And then later in the evening is the WonderCon Masquerade at 8:30 p.m. The special guest host is Ashley Eckstein, and there will be the performance by the core dance crew and Saber Guild in between the showing of all the people in their costumes. And I think that's it. What do we think of this? Do we think we're going to have any problems on this room?
How well attended was the masquerade the year that you went?
It was well attended.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, if anything, feels that it's going to be the masquerade.
I mean, they say that you can go get into the room at 8 o'clock and it starts at 8:30, but you know, people were lining up as soon as they walked out of the convention. So they just walked upstairs and got in line at 6, 7 o'clock for some people who wanted to be as close as they could to the front. I don't think you're going to have a problem getting in if you just walk up there like 7:30 to 8 o'clock. I don't think you'll have a problem getting in. You just won't be near the front of the room.
Right. So basically it sounds like what we're saying for the masquerade is like if you really want to go, like maybe just show up about 30 minutes early. But that one I think will definitely be the most well attended panel of the day in this room. I don't think any
Dragon
others will be.
I think Dragon Prince
will be fairly well attended.
Yeah.
I think McFarlane also. I don't think there's going to be a lot of changeover. So if you want to see McFarlane, just show up 5 or 10 minutes before to get in the room. Because I think it'll clear out from Dragon Prince. But I think those two will be pretty well attended.
Based on
fill up.
Yeah, but based on what people were the excitement of the Dragon Prince fans.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Now, are they going to WonderCon to be able to go to this panel? That's the question.
Yes.
That is a good question.
That is definitely the question. Yes.
All right. So next up we have North 200B. Carrie.
Yes. So things kick off in North 200B. And again, this is the only day that this room is being used. But things kick off at 12:15 p.m. with Funmaker Mike, How the Fun Was Won. So even though Funko will not be on the show floor, Mike Becker, who is the founder of Funko, will actually be at the convention on this panel where he will be talking about the inception of Funko. And it also mentions surprises and special guests. So with Funko, that can mean anything. That can mean a celebrity, or it could mean like other Funko employees, like who knows? But Funko usually does some pretty cool stuff on their panels. So I bet they've got something cool planned. And then at 1:15 is what I would argue is possibly the biggest panel of the weekend, maybe. It's Collider Directors on Directing. And that has the directors of the upcoming The Fall Guy, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then Abigail. I'm very excited about most of those movies. Yep, they'll be showing footage from them as well. Again, the directors will actually be on hand to talk about the movies. And then we will actually be giving away shirts from the Fall Guy at the convention as well as part of our prize mule. So keep an eye out for that. And I will post a photo on Twitter here later. That's pretty cool. And then at 2:30 p.m. is Boy Kills World, which is from producer Sam Raimi and director Moritz Moore, and then several of the actors will be in attendance. And if you looked at this panel the day that it got announced, it has changed a little bit. They've added some cast members. So right now, the people who look to be attending are Famke Jensen, Charlton Copley, Jessica Roth, Brett Gelman, Isaiah Mustafa. So that should be fun. They are also doing a signing that got announced today. Details about how to do that are up on our site or on Comic-Con's Twitter. And then at 3:30 p.m. is The Strangers, Chapter 1, which is a prequel to the 2008 film that stars some folks from Riverdale and Teen Wolf. The director will also be there. And then at 4:30 p.m. is Resident Alien, Cast Conversation. Cast and creators will be there. They don't specify which, just that cast will be there. But it will be a chance to talk about the upcoming season, or to talk about season 3 finale, which will air just after the convention. And then at 6:30 p.m. is Chucky season 3 part 2 exclusive sneak peek and cast conversation. Again, it's cast and creator, so you don't know who will be there, but someone will be there. And sneak peek usually means that they'll show a clip or a couple minutes of an episode. So
Sizzle
that
reel.
is, yeah, sizzle reel. So that is 200B. So what do we think, guys?
That's a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
It is a lot of entertainment. I think I think this is the big room for the day. I
Yeah.
think this is the biggest panels for sure.
Yeah.
So Funko, I think for sure will be very well attended, especially the fact that it says surprises. Like everybody always wants a Funko giveaway. So I think people will definitely have their sights set on this panel. Collider, directors on directing. Again, I mean, it's got some of the biggest movies coming up. The Fall Guy has fantastic buzz coming out of the last week or two. I'm very excited about Abigail. I might be the only one, but I'm incredibly excited. So I think that'll be big. And then Boy Kills World. I mean, Sam Raimi is a legend, and you've got some really good stars on that.
Yeah, right.
So.
I mean, it's all people that from things that, you know, are all genre kind of things, with Famke Janssen from X-Men and Charlton from District 9 and Jessica Roth.
Brett Gelman.
Stranger Things, and of course, as Andy mentioned in the chat, Isaiah Mustafa, the Old Spice guy.
Yep, the Old Spice guy. Happy Death Day. Like we got a lot of good things here represented. So again, to me, I think those first 3 panels are going to be very well attended.
Yeah.
So would you show up early for these? Do you think you'll be fine to just walk in?
It's just so hard to determine because
I know. Because
coming out of lockdown with WonderCon, it's always at this weird space where you know, we had people just didn't go to the panels when we came back.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of stayed away.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of the people who would normally be going for panels kind of just stopped coming to WonderCon because they're all down on the floor getting commissions, doing some shopping, going out and looking at the cosplay or doing the cosplay.
I agree.
And so
to me, the one to worry about is actually the Funko panel, and actually for the exact reason that you said, is I feel like the WonderCon audience has definitely shifted more to like the floor kind of crowd, but the floor people know Funko. So I feel like if I was going to that one, I would probably line up early.
And I mean, most people, the Funko community is really good about kind of like getting the teases out there and kind of knowing kind of on the down low or like hearing what's happening. So, I mean, if you're interested in this at all, you probably have people you know who know things. Just go ask them if there's a reason to get there early and then do it if that's the case.
It was probably pretty smart of them to run that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine the Funko people camping out all day, hoping for if it was at the end of the day.
Right. So I mean, if you only care about, from the Collider directors thing on, because you know you love movies, show up during Funko. I mean, just check it out. I mean, sit through the last 20 minutes of Funko if you have to, just to make sure you're in the room if there's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
If you walk up to Funko and the room is half full, then yeah, you're not gonna. It's not really that big of a deal because there will be no line. Just walk in.
Yeah.
Just check it out. I don't think there's going to be an issue with anything. Just because there's just not like massive star presence that's going to draw a whole bunch of people into one room at one time. But I think there's going to be nice, decent crowds and steady flow through all of these.
I agree. And I think for the people who do go to the panels, like, I think these are going to be really fun. So I hope that people do go to the panels. So
yeah. All right. And then next up we have the next room is room 207 again. And
room 207. And starting at 10 a.m., we've got Monster Makers of Film and Television. This is going to be a whole group of concept artists from the Art Directors Guild. They're going to be talking about creature conceptualization and the creative process behind making monsters. And we're talking about people from Avatar, Predator. I mean, there's just tons of them. Jurassic Park, Mummy. If you like creatures and you're interested, this would be a good one to go to. At 11, it's Rhapsody PR's 16th annual Behind the Music panel, colon ultrasonic. So this is going to be music creators giving you a behind the scenes look. 16th annual. So they've been doing 16 of these.
Yeah, a lot.
That's awesome. But it's going to be, if you really like the scores to movies, if you really like the scores to TV series, they're going to be talking a lot about the behind the scenes process of that. At noon, it's Superhero in Real Life, engaging students' social, emotional learning, comics, and more. We've got some academics here and some very, very smart educators and people who have done some pop culture writing. They're going to be talking about social, emotional learning, also known as SEL, and exploring the dynamic intersection of comics and SEL. From 1 to 2, it's What's the Best Superpower? If you and your friends like to debate about this stuff, this is absolutely ideal. Moderator Jaslyn Stone is going to be with a bunch of the special guests, including our friend Patrick Ballesteros. Dustin Wynn's going to be there. Jimmy Robinson's going to be there. And they're all going to be talking about superpowers and which superpowers reign supreme. At 2 p.m., it's Women Rocking Hollywood 2004. Female filmmakers breaking barriers and breaking records. Which, we had a pretty good year in 2023 for the ladies making the great, pretty big films, blockbusters. We're going to have creative, successful women in film talking about the way forward and how gains through SAG and AFTRA and the Directors Guild are helping to increase the percentage of women. Scheduled to appear are Erica Tremblay, Anna Hallberg, Amy Green, Anna Biller, Andrea Wilson-Meraz, and moderated by Leslie Kumbalme. At 3 o'clock, how an idea in a college dorm led to a full-fledged indie animation studio. Ibrahim and Caitlin Broadway, Julie Reed are all going to be talking about the animated series, among the others. Going to start at the beginning from their very unique origins to assembling a cast and launching their animation studio. At 4 p.m., they're doing a screening for Sandland, the series. I would highly suspect that they'll probably talk a little bit, do a small memorial, maybe even a big memorial for Akira Toriyama, the creator who also created Dragon Ball Z, who passed recently. And they're also going to be screening the first 2 episodes.
And I feel like it's worth noting that at San Diego, they did they gave away tons of stuff.
Oh yeah, they did have a lot of swag there, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. At 5 p.m., it's how to build your own Star Wars droids. If you ever wondered how the R2s and the C-3POs were made, this is a really, really great chance. They'll be discussing how their robots are built and how they operate. At 6 p.m., it's 20 Years of Scott Pilgrim, the impact and the influence. This is going to be all about Brian Lee O'Malley's titular character, who's been around since 2009, which absolutely boggles my mind. It says to join creators, manga historians, and others as they discuss the influence. No bold names on this. I'm hoping Brian Lee O'Malley would at least be there. But if you'd like Scott Pilgrim and you want to hear more, it might be worth showing up even if he's not there. And at 7 p.m., it's the very popular X-Men fandom panel. This is the 5th time that they've done this, and it's always extremely popular. They're going to be talking about the newly launched animated series, X-Men 95, and they're going to have a lot of voice cast members here. X Reads podcast hosts Chandler Poling and Chris Riley are going to have cast members Lauren Zahn, AJ Lukoscio, Holly Chu, Matthew Watterson, and many more. And something, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say they always do a giveaway.
Yeah, they always have a fun giveaway. Hopefully we'll see it before WonderCon, but they always do something really fun for everyone who's in attendance. At 8 p.m., it's Ghostbusters, the Law of the Afterlife. If you ever worry about, this is so fascinating. The 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters, first of all, but these are lawyers and judges, very distinguished, tons of Esquires going on in this one, talking about the dynamics of law and environmental protection and registering a proton pack. And if you've ever watched Ghostbusters and thought to yourself, wouldn't they get in trouble for doing that? These are the folks that are going to be able to tell you, yes, they would get in trouble for that.
Was that guy who was the word I can't say, the biggest jerk in the movie, was he right? Because he wanted them shut down, remember?
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably be able to tell you.
Yeah.
The folks who organize this, the Legal Geeks, they always seem to have fun. To me, I don't think of lawyers as being as very fun, but I think they've completely changed my idea of that, because they always have really fun and engaging discussions about legal ramifications for all of these pop culture movies and TV shows, and smart folks. And closing out the night at 9 p.m., it's Pop Culture Fantasy Draft. Hit Weekly live stream welcome party. Alex Catherine, Cole Garrison, and JPG are going to be doing, it sounds like almost like a little bit of live comedy, and panelists will be trying to build the best team for different superheroes scenarios. Moderated by Andrew Lynn and Brianna DeCoster, Lamar Harris, who is a comedian, and John Pingle from the wrestling show. They'll be choosing characters across pop culture and putting them in different wacky scenarios to see which one will make it out alive. And that's it. It's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, lots of fun little panels here. I'm not seeing anything that's really been...
I will say the X-Men fandom panel every year is like crazy attended. That is honestly the only one that, like, if you want to go to that, I would actually show up early for that.
Yeah, and Sandland may, depending.
Yeah, Sandland might. Especially if it sounds like they're going to do a giveaway like they did at San Diego. Like, that will definitely boost attendance.
And there's just a lot of great voice actors on that X-Men fandom one too.
Yeah, I have a question that's bugging me since I saw it.
Yes.
It says that Scott Pilgrim's character made his debut in 2009, and this is the 20 years of Scott Pilgrim panel. How did they get that math? Shouldn't it be the 15 years of Scott Pilgrim, or did Brian Lee O'Malley create Scott Pilgrim in some other form 5 years before the book came out?
Carrie, are you Googling this for us?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm 2009.
Live information.
It says that it was released between August 2004 and July 2010. So it's a typo. Yeah, it's a typo.
All right. My curiosity has been satisfied. Oh, man. All right.
Because when did the movie was 2010.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was. So yeah, like no
it
way
had to
it
be.
came out in 2009.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, if you want to go to the X-Men panel, get there early, for sure. And if you're worried about the Sandland, also get there early. Otherwise, these are all show up when the panel, right?
Yeah.
3 minutes before the panel starting, find a seat and you'll be good to go, I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
that's about it. Let's go into Dark Horse and highlight picks. And I'm going to kick it off here.
Do it.
Okay. I have at 10 a.m. in room 300E, Animals on Screen. Bobby Brink, from the founder of Lions, Tigers, and Bears, is basically going to talk about animals in film and video game development and all that kind of stuff. And even a chance to see cute animals. There you go. Right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Even the smallest of
100%.
chance.
The smallest
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
Also at 10 a.m. In what room is it in? It's in room 211. Is the spotlight on Marv Wolfman. Of course, all of these spotlight, all the special guests get their own spotlight. I thought this one was particularly interesting because Marv Wolfman has been around since the 60s. He's got a lot of history. He's created a lot of amazing things, stuff that you've seen on screen in the MCU over the last decade. So go check it out. I'm sure he's going to have a bunch of amazing stories and stuff to talk about. And then at 1 p.m. in 211, we have Tarzan and the Land That Time Forgot. The Edgar Rice Burroughs Inc. Tends to do a panel almost every year at WonderCon and Comic Con. In this case, it's director Kevin Conner coming to talk about it, along with former Tarzan actor Wolf Larson. It's the 50th anniversary of Kevin Conner's film adaptation of the Land That Time Forgot. And they're going to be giving away a special commemorative trading card and door prizes while they last. So if you're interested at all in Tarzan, John Carter, all of that stuff, that's where you go. And then in 300E at 2 p.m. is the legendary Bill Sienkiewicz, a career-spanning interview. This guy has done so much stuff over the years in comics and design and posters, and he's responsible for the look of so many different things. And I think this one would probably be one of the most fascinating talks. He's going to be, looks like he's going to be interviewed by Chris Doc Wyatt, film producer and TV animation writer. And I just think this would be something really cool to go to. And is there anything else that this one in also in 300E at 5 p.m. in conversation with Bruce Dickinson, the Mandrake Project. And if you recognize the name, that is, of course, the frontman from Iron Maiden. And if you have ever listened to the lyrics of some of the Iron Maiden songs, he's a little out there with his aliens and things like that, right? I think so. So the Mandrake Project is a saga about the century-long battle for human control of immortality. And believe it or not, also on this panel is Bill Sienkiewicz, also editor Rance Hosley, Josh Bernstein, and moderator Ryan J. Downey, talking about this new exciting quarterly series. So it looks like Bruce Dickinson's getting into some comics here.
Is that a Z2 comic?
It doesn't say that
I wonder if it is.
It may or may not. I'm not sure.
I wonder if they're also on the floor and going to have a panel.
You know what? I was going to be done, but I got to mention this one too. I don't remember if you guys were doing this one, but it's at 8 o'clock in room 210. How to use hypnotic language for dynamic storytelling. A certified hypnotherapist, Grant Offenberger, will moderate this panel of storytellers to talk about how they engage their audience's attention. I mean, are they basically going to be talking about how they lure you in and then like trap you into their creations? Panelists include Hugh Howey, who created Silo and from the book Wool, the author, Joey Munoz, who is a Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, Tim Chismar from Spooky Ninja Kitty Media, and the strangest one on this list, maybe Techno Destructo from the band Guar. That is quite the list of panelists.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go.
And then to answer Aaron's earlier question, the Mandrake Project is a Z2 comic. So good job.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, then that'd be great if they could, do a signing on the
Yeah.
floor. Would be kind of neat.
Yeah. It might, who knows? It might just happen.
Yep.
Well, Aaron, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Yes. I picked a couple. Let's see. 11:30 a.m. in room 208, Writing from Earth and Beyond. And James, you mentioned Hugh Howey. That's who's on this panel too. He's written a bunch of books that I really, really love, but he's also going to be joined with Jonathan Yanez, Rachel E. Beck, John Wells, Megan Haskell, and they're going to be discussing the ins and outs of writing when it comes to world creation, character development, and all the challenges. It's going to be a discussion moderated by Joshua Del Toro, who is a book talk influencer. I am interested in this one mostly because of the worlds that Hugh Howey has created. I mean, how do you start at the very beginning and just make a whole world?
Yeah.
Another one I picked was at 1 p.m. in room 300E. It's a look back at comic magazines and periodicals. And I don't think a week goes by at my store that somebody doesn't talk about how much they miss Wizard Magazine or ask if Wizard Magazine is coming back. And, there was a time when there were like 5 or 6 different comic magazines that were all coming out on a monthly basis, not just Wizard, but also Alter Ego, Comics Journal, Back Issue. And the Overstreet Price Guide is a yearly one. So they're going to be having a discussion about the future of comic magazines and periodicals and what we miss about seeing them.
Perfect.
So that's all I picked.
So on my list, I've got at 11 a.m. in room 211 is the spotlight on Colleen Duran. She was supposed to be a special guest at San Diego last year, but for health reasons, she wasn't able to attend. So now she's a special guest here at WonderCon. She's worked with some of the biggest names like Neil Gaiman, Stan Lee, J. Michael Straczynski. So it'll just be a look back at her career. And then at 10 a.m. is Klingon Lifestyles. And I have never actually made it to this, but Sarah went one year and raves about it every single year, and we're always like, we're gonna go. But it's literally like they present a play in Klingon, and it's supposed to be just like chaos and so much fun. So if you're around on Saturday at 10 a.m. with nothing else to do, go sit on this. And then there is Inside the Writers' Room, also at 10 a.m. in room 300C, which has writers from some of the best shows around. So The Boys, Black Sails, Quantum Leap, Muppets Mayhem, Warrior Nun, Jose Molina, who's written for a million things like Agent Carter and Firefly. So it's just got a whole bunch of really big writers talking about their craft and kind of the state of the industry. So that's always fun. And then, as James mentioned earlier, there is a Her Universe dedicated panel as well as Ashley's Spotlight. The Her Universe fashion show update will be at 2:30 p.m. in room 300C. It will mostly, I'm sure, just be Ashley Eckstein, but it will also be an update on where we are with this year's fashion show. And then I also wanted to mention Gary Sassaman's Tales from My Spinner Rack Live, which he's done this now at both WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con, but it will be at 3 p.m. in room 209. And it's just him talking kind of about the history of comics. This will be episode 7 of his Tales, titled Marvel Monster Madness. And it'll just be a look back at a whole bunch of late 50s and early 60s comics, and should be a lot of fun. That's my list.
That's a good list. I
And
think that
doesn't he have magnets or something he's giving away?
Gary?
Yeah. Free postcards and fridge magnets to all attendees.
There you go. So you get a giveaway, and you get Gary, and we love Gary. He used to work for Comic-Con. He was the former director of programming and publications, and we've had him on the podcast a couple times. So,
and those pre-code monster books are super hot right now. So he'll be talking about some of those early.
Yeah.
It was before pre-superheroes.
Yeah.
Comics were all about the monsters.
Okay, so I think that does it for Saturday. So on to Sunday, which is the last day. And James, do you want to kick us off in North 200A?
Sure. Starting at 11:15 a.m., we have 30 Years of Gargoyles, a celebration for the fans. This is about the animated series Gargoyles. That was, I think it was on like the Disney Afternoon or something like that, if I remember correctly, or Fox Afternoons, one of those.
Yeah.
But it's been around for a long time and it's still going. We still see toys made for it even today. I know they've done comics for it and all kinds of stuff. So it is definitely very popular. And this is a bunch of people, you know, talking about the fact that it's been going for so long. And with Disney Plus and all those things, maybe we'll see a resurgence. Who knows? We did get X-Men, so you never know. At 12:15, we have Dispatches from Middle-earth, The War of the Rohirrim, and this is the OneRing.net's annual panel about all things Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, especially the new War of the Rohirrim feature-length animated film that is coming up later this year, and the Amazon series Rings of Power that we have season 2 coming. At 1:15, we have the annual Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog interactive musical comedy. Put out run by Fandom Charities and Hellmouth Events, and it's an interactive screening of the Sing Along blog. So come around, sing and cheer and all kinds of things. And then looks like we're closing down the room from 2:30 to 4 o'clock with Starship Smackdown, Smack-a-Doom. And this is the annual panel where it's this thing versus that thing and a lot of arguing and reasons why. And we're being presented the matchups with Christian Gossett, Robert Meyer Burnett, Darren R. Doctorman, Ashley E. Miller, Isaac Altman, Caden Miller, and Mark A. Altman. And those things always are a good time with a lot of the arguments. More so than just Superman versus Hulk. This is spaceships versus spaceships and all kinds of cool stuff.
It sounds like a lot of conversations I hear over here at my store.
Yeah.
people arguing about what's better.
And Carrie, why don't you tell us now? Oh, wait, let's talk about the rooms here. Is there anything that's going to fill this up? I mean, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I know Gargoyles is big,
Gargoyles
but
is big. Starship Smackdown usually gets a pretty decent crowd. I just don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I think several things will be well attended, but I don't think anything will get there early kind of crowds.
Yeah. All right. Carrie, why don't you tell us what's in North 200B?
Absolutely nothing. Aaron, what? Yeah.
Let's move right on. Yes,
Yep.
room 207, starting at 10 a.m. Young adult fantasy authors. We've got Stacey Deutsch, Corey Doctorow, Jonathan Mayberry, Kate Lauren discussing the craft of writing young adult fantasy. They're also going to be answering audience questions. So if you've got some burning questions, now's your time to ask them. At 11 a.m., how to create your own novel from the first idea to publishing. The Winter Twins are going to be helming this one, Brittany and Brianna, and they're going to be talking about the whole process from developing a writing routine, an in-depth look at different publishing paths, and what it takes to be an author professionally to help you achieve success. At noon, there's a panel, Bad Idea, the panel, what their self-proclaimed last and greatest underground comics publisher, Bad Idea, is going to be live at WonderCon talking about inside the closed channel. Dinesh Samandashi and Ben Simpson are very, very entertaining. Dinesh especially is very entertaining. So they should be giving you some sneak peeks of what's coming from Bad Idea. At 1 p.m., The Art of Voice Directing. We do love voice actors, but they probably wouldn't they probably wouldn't get their point across as much as they do if they didn't have good voice directors. So just like regular actors have their directors, voice actors have voice directors. So they'll be talking about stepping out of the booth to discuss their craft in this panel, nominated by Tamir Dar from the Beat. Comics Beat. 2 p.m. Real Rejects live from WonderCon. Stepping into the world of Real Rejects, they've got millions, billions of followers, and they're going to be doing their expert takes, making the team they're going to be expert takes about film. They say they cut through the noise with a blend of humor and insight. So if you're a fan of Real Rejects, now's your chance to see Greg Alba, John Humphrey, Coy Jandreau, and Michael Tesler. 3:00, games for social and cultural reflection. How can different forms of gaming improve our social and cultural understanding and appreciation? How games serve as a lens of analysis and critique. And that's it for the day.
Nothing's gonna film anything up here, right?
No, I mean, there's a lot of like great publishing stuff and the young adult author ones. There's a ton of great authors on there, but I don't think anything where you're going to have to show up early.
All right. Let's get into some dark horses. Who wants to go first? You want to go first, Aaron?
Sure.
Cool.
I picked this Spotlight on Hugh Howey. That's at 11:30 a.m. in room 208. We've already talked about him a couple times. But if you got to watch the Apple TV Plus show Silo, it's based on one of his books. If you've seen MGM Plus show Beacon 23, also based on one of his books, they're going to be talking about everything Hugh Howey. And a Q&A, which I'd be first in line for. And then I would be like rejected. They'd be like, no, we're going to screen your question and we don't want you. You're too eager, lady. At noon in room 211, the Fleischer cartoons, Art and Inventions of Max Fleischer. They always do these wonderful 4K restorations of the old black and white cartoons, Coco the Clown, Betty Boop, Popeye, Superman, and more. And then at 12:30 in 300C, I thought that the origins of the Universal monsters and the birth of horror sounded very interesting, exploring what drove Universal to make the films in the first place and why we still love them so much.
Scary monsters.
Scary monsters. James, do you want to go next?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
All right. So this one I picked solely for the title of the panel at 1 p.m. in room 300A. It's Silicone's cheaper brother, gelatin. And if you can probably figure out that it's about props and prosthetics and stuff like that, and talking about how you can use gelatin for things if you don't have access to silicone. So there you go. I think that's pretty funny.
I had like no idea that silicone was like expensive.
I don't know.
Until I saw that.
It's just like, okay, so gelatin, there you go. Go make some Jello and then you're done, right? No, I don't think that's
it's got to be a little more complicated than that.
Probably. Yeah. Then everyone would be like, are you craft services or are you the prop department?
Right.
Is that your only dark horse for Sunday?
No, I have one more.
Oh.
Okay. It's not just the gelatin panel. Got it.
No. Let's see. At 1:30 in room 208 is special and WonderCon special guest David Mack. Now I've known of David Mack for years because of Kabuki and Daredevil and things like that. Mainly just knew him as the artist and writer. But apparently he's had quite the career because he's going to be talking about obviously his work on Daredevil. He created film titles for The Winter Soldier and the Jessica Jones TV series. He's worked on American Gods and Anansi Boys. He has done some government work overseas for the U.S. State Department in North Africa, Asia, and the former Soviet areas, teaching in refugee camps and the School for the Deaf. He also has directed music videos for Amanda Palmer, Neil Gaiman, Dashboard Confessional, and Pen America. I mean, that's quite a career. So,
right? When I was writing up like our recap of here's our picks for WonderCon, I was like, this, like what he has worked on is insane.
Yeah, that's a career. And so I'm guessing this will probably be a fairly entertaining panel.
Yeah.
So check it out. I mean, it's something to do, something fun to do on the Sunday afternoon. That's it. That's all I got for Sunday.
So on my list, I have two. I've got at 12:30 p.m. in room 208 is the spotlight on Patrick Ballesteros, which anybody who follows our site knows we are big fans of Patrick. And what I liked about this panel is that it's not just him talking about himself. It's like it says like he will share tips as he walks you through the process of developing your own characters, stories, and projects while maintaining your voice and style, which felt very much like the teacher that he is. So I thought that was cool. And then at 4 p.m. in room 300A is the Unmasquerade red carpet edition. And I liked this because it will be a couple of cosplayers who will be conducting red carpet style interviews on an actual red carpet. Like, so you get to come by, like in your cosplay, they'll ask you, you know, like, who are you wearing? And everybody who walks the red carpet also gets a small token of appreciation. So if you're a cosplayer, if you've got like a kid who dresses up at the convention, like, I think this sounds really cool.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Very clever.
Yes, I think so too. And again, especially for the kids, I'm like, this is awesome. I like this. So,
and it's a good way to close out the last thing you do before you head out for the day. Get some pictures before you take all the costumes off and get home. So there you go. Very cool.
So I think so too. Okay, so I think that pretty much does it for the WonderCon schedule. So let's give some general thoughts about this schedule. I mean, I think we can all agree that in comparison to other years, this is definitely lighter on the Hollywood side.
Yes.
And that's something that we're just not sure if this is still a post-pandemic decision by studios not to bring things out. Is this a post-strike, you know, money's still tight situation? It's hard to say because, you know, the last year we were still coming off a pandemic and there were still a lot of restrictions. And then, no, that was the year before. And then last year we had
a strike.
Yeah, last year was a strike. So it's like, you almost have to go back like
5 years.
5 years to get like what we thought of as a typical WonderCon, and whether or not we'll see that again, I just don't know.
It's kind of like indicative that there's like, I think Carrie mentioned earlier, off is like the convention landscape is changing. There's changes happening across the board. This isn't just at WonderCon. This is like a lot of things are just different now at conventions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when people think of conventions, I think one of the things they think of is the autographs and the photo opportunities, and those are just two. The paid I should say the paid the paid autographs and the paid photographs.
Yes, and that is just a very different sort of convention than the sort of conventions that Comic-Con International runs. And I mean, I definitely do think that there's something to be said for like not having the star power, like I think keeps some folks away. I mean, again, there's plenty of awesome panels, and I think like anybody who goes is going to have a ton of fun. But I don't know, and maybe that is just not what WonderCon is anymore. I mean, when I went 2 years ago, like I was shocked at how empty so many of the panel rooms were. But I mean, that's WonderCon to me has always really been the cosplay is huge, and then the show floor is, with Artist Alley in particular, like I feel like draws a lot of people. And to me, like that is what shines at WonderCon. More so than the panels, even if you go back like 10 years ago when we did have a bigger Hollywood presence. So I don't know, like maybe this like WonderCon is just a very different beast.
But James, you even mentioned earlier the lack of comic book representation, especially on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, both on the floor and panels. Like, you know, someone one of the first comments we got in the chat was that there's no DC animated movie premiering at WonderCon, which was something that has been happening for years. And we don't have any of the major publishers doing panels or on the show floor. I mean, you can say, you know, what are major publishers? IDW, you mentioned, is on the show floor, and they're a big publisher, but it's not DC, it's not Marvel, it's not Image, you know. we don't have any of those on the show floor or doing panels. It's all individuals promoting their individual work or their individual books that are coming out. It's not like a publisher bringing their stuff and showing off their line that's coming out and doing something big. So maybe it's that other conventions are just at a better time slot for them, like Emerald City or C2E2 or something like that, for promoting what's coming up for the summer for the publishing industry, or something. It could be just a timing issue. Who knows?
Well, yeah. I mean, I also think that like this being on Easter weekend, like I'm sure that somewhere there is a vendor who is like, I don't want to do like Easter weekend.
Right.
So I think timing for sure plays a part into it. I think the changing convention landscape for sure plays a part in it. I think there's just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah. You can't point to one thing and say
No.
that's the reason why this is happening.
Correct.
It's just like little chunks here and there have caused the changes that we're seeing now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think we'll know for many years whether or not it swings back the other way.
I think so too. I will say Xavier Behavior says in the chat, hope we have star power at SDCC 24. I would not necessarily take like this WonderCon schedule and assume that San Diego Comic-Con will also be like light on Hollywood. Like that is not really my takeaway message, because again, they're totally different conventions. Like WonderCon has never been of any sort of the level of San Diego Comic-Con.
And we used to call WonderCon SDCC light because and it's mainly just because they're run by the same group.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been definitely like over 10 years since it really felt like WonderCon was a mini version of Comic-Con, and it was always a very mini version because they just can't get the scope that Comic-Con does. It's always been taking pieces of it and like, okay, this year we actually have like, a whole day of movie and TV panels at WonderCon, and it feels like, one room at Comic-Con when there's 3 rooms at Comic-Con that can do that every day for 5 days or 4 days.
Right.
So it's never been close to the same level.
No.
Even as a mini version, it's always been like, taking pieces out and like, okay, this is what it is. But I think it's just that it's become the artist show, the cosplay show, the panel,
the literary,
the business of publishing and pop culture kind of a show. Not just comics and publishing, but across the board of everything from pop culture. So I think that's basically what it's turned into, and in that manner, it is Comic-Con light because there's all of that at Comic-Con as well, in addition to all the Hollywood and all the major publishers and all that kind of stuff. So it's still technically.
It is, but basically what I'm trying to say is like, don't look at this schedule and start getting worried about San Diego. Like, I think it's apples to oranges, and we're also months away. So I don't think this is indicative at all.
I mean, even if you think about the things that San Diego Comic-Con had planned before the strike, the things that got canceled after the strike was announced, it's like we were already seeing like people coming back and shows coming back and autograph sessions, and then the strike came. So there was at least
absolutely
a glimmer of we saw star power coming back, post-pandemic star power coming back, but then this other thing happened, and that's what took it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything we heard going into last year was like the studios want to like blow it out of the water after the pandemic, and hopefully they will still want to blow it out of the water here this year.
And you could see that based on like all the offsites that we got last year. I mean, it was still a normal offsite year, so everything was supposed to be back to normal. At least as close as they could get, right? Actually, I wanted to real quick. I mean, I'm sure people actually watching this live have been wondering what that is. Erin, can you lean over a little bit and show us what you have in the background?
Oh,
there?
Yes.
The ublog giant charm bracelet.
It's the ublog giant.
It's a friendship bracelet.
Come on,
nice.
James. Giant friendship bracelet.
I'm not hip on these things.
Yes. I found that and I meant to try to find the name of the store that I that I purchased it from. It's an independent artisan who will make friendship bracelets. You get to pick the colors of the beads. You get to pick the shape of the beads. We've got hearts here. You get to have it say whatever you want it to say. So this was in honor of much of our group who is very fond of Taylor Swift.
Yes. I like it.
I got it just for the podcast season. So you're going to see a lot of that one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Very nice.
Do we have any WonderCon news we wanted to highlight for like signings or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I can do my little thing where I run down the news really quick. So as we mentioned, there will be a signing for Boy Kills World. They'll be using those cubes of deciding again, which means that it will not be in the online portal, that he will have to physically go line up and then hit a cube that will turn either green or red. We have tons of exclusive news that we have been posting. So like Fig Pen has announced a couple of their pens. Nick Kremenick, aka Dreamforger, showed off his first exclusive today, which is for Ghostbusters. Kid Heroes and Lumpia have started to show off their exclusives. Toddland, who always does the awesome Bob's Burgers exclusives, their shirts went up for pre-order today. They may be offering pickup at WonderCon if they can get the items in time. If not, it will ship shortly after the convention, but you can go pre-order all of that on their site now. Priscilla Wilson has been showing off her exclusives. She has some awesome resin figures for her original Sunye character, as well as like a wallet. Some other items, and then the really cool thing that she's doing this year, she's doing a stamp rally. Yes, which I know Erin is very excited about.
That is so great. It's so genius.
Yeah, which is basically where you get a little book and then you go around to participating vendors and you'll get a stamp at each vendor. If you manage to get all 11 stamps, then you turn that in and then you have a chance to win an artist proof of one of all of Priscilla's 2024 WonderCon exclusives. So that's very cool. You should go check out the details for that on our site. Yesterday's has shown off a couple of their pens and they will have more to announce. Martin Sue will not physically be at the convention, but he is doing an online drop starting this Friday. We've posted some other fun news that are in our Wonder Post. So like Paul Reiser is actually going to be at the convention and doing a signing for an Aliens comic book. He will not be signing anything else, but he will be signing that.
It specifically says no memorabilia.
No memorabilia, yeah. Patrick has shown off several of his debuts, and I've actually seen his big exclusive, which we will be sharing on Thursday. So that's pretty cool. $7 a Pop has tons of autograph signings at their booth from like some huge names in Disney. So like they have the woman who voiced young Nala in The Lion King. They have the girl who voiced Boo in Monsters, Inc. They have the voice of Pocahontas. They have the voice of Donald Duck. They have the voice of Maleficent and Cruella de Vil. Like they just have a ton of really cool voice talent that will be doing signings at their booth.
Our Wonder I was going to mention too that our Wonder Posts have been chock full of stuff. Everybody's showing off stuff. Tons of sketch covers, tons of original art. It's been a lot of fun actually to get on Twitter and Instagram and find some of those things. And yes, I did call it Twitter, and I will keep calling it Twitter.
It is Twitter. I know you guys keep trying to call it X and the drafts. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I thought I was doing the right thing, and I'm like, it doesn't feel good in my heart. So.
It does not feel good. Yeah. The WonderCon merch is also available. It's for shipping. So if you want to buy it at the con, it will presumably be available at their booth. And then the only other thing that I wanted to say is that, in my humble opinion, I'm very sorry, Comic-Con Museum. I really am. But the badge design this year blows. It is not good. I mean, it's basically the Comic-Con Museum logo and then a giant QR code like that takes you to the Comic-Con Museum. page, and I get it. I'm sure like they couldn't get a sponsor to pay to do it, so like okay, we're gonna do our own internal thing. But like, God,
But
could we not
do
have like
something
thrown some
fun.
design? Yes, put the toucan on there.
Put
Something.
Colleen Duran on it. I mean, put one of her. They have an exhibit. I mean,
Yeah. It's not great. I'm
I've seen
very
a lot.
sorry,
I've
Comic
seen a
Con
lot of
Sam.
people.
I do love you. I do,
I know.
but this is not a good best design.
I should put the Honey Wizard on it.
Oh yeah, honey. See, that would be nice artwork. That looks perfect. That would have been much better. I've seen so many people too when they've been, you know, because everybody posts their badge when they get it, and so many of the people still don't block out their names, but they've been blocking out the QR code.
It's not a unique QR code, kids. Okay, so once more with feeling, I would like to think that anybody watching or listening to this knows this, but like for the love of God, please mark out your name before you post it. Because if you don't, what happens every single year at Comic-Con, at least, is somebody will steal your photo and then go post a badge on like Craigslist or eBay or who knows where. But because they use your photo, which has your name on it, Comic-Con is not like gonna investigate this. Like, there's your name. You were banned. Goodbye. Like, no recourse, no nothing. Like, don't do it. We hear from people every freaking year. I hate it because I feel so bad because there's absolutely nothing you can do at that point. So just don't post your name, please.
There you go. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think so
All right.
too.
So just to so you know what's coming up in 2 weeks, in exactly 2 weeks, on Tuesday, April 2nd, we will be doing our WonderCon wrap up to say what happened at WonderCon. How did the weekend go? And then the new season of SDConCast leading up to Comic-Con will start, I'm guessing, on May 7th. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
first weekend in May.
Let's make it official.
Let's make it official. May 7th. That's fine by me.
Bookmark Evanier now.
Yes.
First episode.
Yes, I feel like I actually know our first two guests because I had somebody last year who was like, "When can we do it? When can we do it?" I was like, "We don't have a podcast until like spring,
until May."
There you go.
So yeah.
All right. And it'll be the usual news every week, exclusives, special guests every week, going over everything that's happening in the world of Comic-Con for the 2 months leading up to the show. I think we're actually going to do 11 weeks of shows, not 10, because of the way the weeks work out this year.
That's okay, because I actually think we had kind of like too many guests last year and we like wished we'd started a week earlier, so that's okay. Real quick before we close out, I just want to talk real quick about the hotel sale because we get asked this question a lot. The general hotel sale, which is like the big lottery, I don't care what On Peak calls it, it's the general hotel sale, like that's what Comic-Con calls it, so that's what we're gonna call it too. That typically gets announced like a week or two after WonderCon. So basically they try to get through WonderCon and then it's usually like a week or two later they will announce it. So there is no news yet, but there probably will be in the first week or two of April.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Are we doing the newsletter this year? We're going to start that up for Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, I mean, probably not by May 7th, but at some point, yes.
We got plenty of time to sign up for it. It's on the website. Check it out.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it. So I guess thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. Erin, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I can be found on the internet pretty much everywhere at Bavarian Erin. Carrie, where can we find more of you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Carrie Dixon. James, where can we find more of your work?
I am everywhere online at Dan Regal, and you can check out if you're interested in Lorcana or listening to me talk for an hour every week also. You can check out the Citizens of Lorcana podcast anywhere you find your podcasts and on YouTube. And
we are go ahead. Sorry.
Also, thank you to Beth, the producer, for editing the show and getting it into your ears. And now you're up, Carrie.
We are on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio, and the link is in the show notes. And if you enjoy the work that we do, we also have a Patreon, and the link for that is on our site. All of the proceeds go right back into the site and all the cool and fun giveaways that we do for you guys, as well as our gigantic hosting bill.
Yes. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at info@sdccblog.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you again for listening and or watching, and everybody go shawarma.
Shawarma?
Gotta push stop someday.